We're discussing the adhan and the rulings of the adhan. Chapter 7, Sheikh Muhammad Fuad Abdul Baqi rahimahullah says, باب القول مثل قول المؤذن لمن سمعه ثم يصلي على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ثم يسأل له الوسيلة. He who hears the adhan should say as the mu'adhin is saying, then ask for salah, Allah's blessings upon the Prophet ﷺ, and then ask Allah to grant him the right of intercession on the day of resurrection. Hadith Abi Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا سمعتم النداء فقولوا مثل ما يقول المؤذن. Hadith number 215, narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whenever you hear the adhan, say just as the mu'adhin is saying. Whenever you hear the adhan, then say just as the mu'adhin or what the mu'adhin is saying. In this chapter and in this hadith, it gives us a simple basic ruling. And that is, when you hear the adhan, it's something that you should do. When you hear the adhan, it's something that you must do. Everybody understand this? The first thing that you should do and that you must do according to some, it says here, مثل قول المؤذن. It's to say what the mu'adhin is saying. I.e., it is the sunnah according to all of the ulama of Islam, and it is mandatory and obligatory according to some of the ulama of Islam to repeat after the mu'adhin. And that if you hear it, you must repeat after him. And if you don't necessarily have to repeat after him, then it is recommended to repeat after the mu'adhin. That's the first ruling. And not to remain silent, whether it's obligatory or preferable. Everybody understand this? Secondly, it says, ثُمَّ يُصَلِّي عَلَى النَّبِي صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. Then to send salah upon the Prophet ﷺ. Is it mandatory to do that, or just recommended, but it's from the sunnah? Last but not least, it then says, ثُمَّ يَسْأَلُ لَهُ الْوَسِيلَةِ. It's to ask Allah to give Muhammad that which is called al-wasila. To give him something which is called al-wasila, which we'll get into. The translation says that the wasila is the right of intercession on the day of resurrection. For the Muhammad ﷺ to make a shafa'ah, to intercede. Everybody clear on this? In Kitab al-Iman, the book of al-Iman, we have previously explained in detail the rulings, types, meanings of a shafa'ah. We explained this in detail. The meanings, the rulings, and the types of what? Of a shafa'ah. And from those types of shafa'ah, intercession, are those which are special and unique to Muhammad, nobody else. He's the only one that will make this type of shafa'ah. And we explained there are other types of shafa'ah which are shared by all of the prophets and the messengers, and by the righteous and the malaika, وَهَكَذَا. And some of those types of intercession are for punishments, or punishments to be lessened, degrees to be extolled, and the list goes on. We explain all of this in Kitab al-Iman in detail. So here, it says here, that this word al-wasila is something that you're to ask Allah, not ask Muhammad, but ask Allah to give Muhammad and to allow him to do something. That's what it says in English, not necessarily in Arabic. So we have three issues now. Number one, repeating after the mu'adhin. Number two, sending prayers upon the Prophet ﷺ. Number three is asking Allah to give Muhammad the what? The wasila. طيب. Hadith of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, here in Bukhari and Muslim, the version that the compiler put, it doesn't say anything about wasila, nor does it say anything about sending prayers upon the Prophet ﷺ. So once more we see discrepancy between the hadith and the actual chapter heading. And the asl is that al-asl an yakun tatabuq bayn al-hadith wa bayna al-bab. And we explained the reasons behind this. We said that these chapter headings are taken directly out of Sahih Muslim. Directly out of what? Sahih Muslim. And as we also explained, for those who have hadith appetites, is that Imam Muslim rahimahullah ta'ala did not put chapter headings in his book. Imam Muslim's book has no chapter headings. Imam Muslim's book only has al-kutub, Kitab al-Iman, Kitab al-Salah, Kitab al-Imara, Kitab al-Jihad, Kitab kada, Kitab kada. And then within each kitab, he yasuq al-ahadith. He mentions the narrations with their chains, their different alfaz, the different discrepancies, okay? And he organized them in a masterful way, better than Imam al-Bukhari does. Better and more thorough than Imam al-Bukhari. And it's another reason why Sahih Muslim is an easier book to study for those who are learning hadith. It's easier to study Sahih Muslim. And it's also easier to read the explanation of Sahih Muslim. Okay, so Imam Muslim, rahimahullah, he did not put in those chapter headings. The shurrah and the mukhtasireen, those who summarize the book, those who explain the book, they put in the chapter headings, whether it's Qurtubi or whether it's Nawawi. As far as Imam al-Bukhari, rahimahullah, the Imam al-Bukhari, he put every single bab in his book. And he made a specific, meticulous, scrupulous way in which he wanted it to be a specific lesson, a fiqh ruling, a fa'idah, an argument, a discussion, a munaqasha, in every bab. Everybody understand this? So the author of the book, he took the chapter headings from Sahih Muslim, the Sharh of Nawawi. Obviously, hadith and Sahih Muslim are not necessarily going to be in Bukhari and Muslim. That's why we've explained this several times. There are certain hadiths that are under chapters and there is a discrepancy. Because the chapter is not made for Sahihain, but the chapter is actually made for what? Sahih Muslim. Everybody understand this? It's actually made for what? Sahih Muslim. We've also explained that when you read Sahih Muslim, you have to understand once more that the chapter headings are not from him. The chapter headings in the most popular print of the book are from Imam Muslim, from Nawawi. And Nawawi was a Shafi'i. And Nawawi, rahimahullah, we don't consider him to be a staunch bigot. He wasn't a fanatical madhabite type of guy that was just crazed in a frenzy to support his madhab, as many others were. However, Nawawi was Shafi'i, and he grew up drinking that water. He grew old upon Shafi'iyah, and he's from the greatest of the ulama of the Shafi'i madhab, and from those who put a great deal of service to that madhab. So obviously there's going to be some type of effect upon his mind. Everybody understand this? At best. At best. At worst, someone who studies the madhab is going to be a fanatic, a mutassib, at worst. And at best, they'll be munsif, they're fair, they're clean, they're impartial, but it's going to have some type of what? Full cupness. So you may read a chapter heading in Sahih Muslim, and it says istihbab, the recommendation of this, and that may not necessarily be the madhab of Imam Muslim. Imam Muslim may hold a view that it's mandatory, but Nawawi, his view, Shafi'i view, that it's only recommended to say this or to do this. Everybody understand this? These are very important points with regards to how to read these books. And it is insufficient to just say Bukhari and Muslim and that's it. And what I have an actual system, what I have in a methodology of how to benefit from the book. Everybody clear on this? Khairan inshallah. So let's go to Sahih Muslim and let's see what we can find. It says here in the Sharh of Sahih Muslim al-Minhaj, it says باب استحباب القول مثل قول المؤذن لمن سمع ثم يصلي على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ثم يسأل الله له الوسيلة. حدثنا يحيى بن يحيى قال قرأت عن مالك أو على مالك عن ابن شهاب عن عطاء بن يزيد الليثي عن أبي سعيد الخدري أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا سمعتم النداء فقولوا مثل ما يقول المؤذن. حدثنا محمد بن سلمة المرادي قال حدثنا عبد الله بن وهب عن حيوة وسعيد بن أبي أيوب وغيرهما عن كعب بن علقمة عن عبد الرحمن بن جبير عن عبد الله بن عمرو بن العاص أنه سمع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إذا سمعتم المؤذن فقولوا مثل ما يقول ثم صلوا عليه فإنه من صلى عليه صلاة صلى الله عليه بها 10 ثم صلى الله عليه الوسيلة فإنها منزلة في الجنة لا تنبغي إلا لعبد من عباد الله وأرجو أن أكون أنا هو فمن سأل للوسيلة حلت عليه الشفاعة. حدثني إسحاق بن منصور قال أخبرنا أبو جعفر محمد بن جهد من الثقفي قال حدثنا إسماعيل بن جعفر عن عمارة بن غزية عن خبيب بن عبد الرحمن بن إساف عن حفص بن عاصم بن عمر بن الخطاب عن أبيه عن جده عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا قال المؤذن الله أكبر فقال أحدكم الله أكبر ثم قال أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله قال أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ثم قال أشهد أن محمد رسول الله قال أشهد أن محمد رسول الله ثم قال حي على الصلاة قال لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله ثم قال حي على الفلاح قال لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله ثم قال الله أكبر قال الله أكبر ثم قال لا إله إلا الله قال لا إله إلا الله من قلبه دخل الجنة. حدثنا محمد بن رمح قال أخبرنا الليث عن الحكيم بن عبد الله بن قيس القرشي وحدثنا قتيبة بن سعيد قال حدثنا الليث عن الحكيم بن عبد الله عن عامر بن سعد بن أبي وقاص عن سعد بن أبي وقاص عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال من قال حين يسمع المؤذن أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأن محمدا عبده ورسوله رضيت بالله ربا وبمحمد رسولا وبالإسلام دينا غفر له ذنبه. قال ابن رمح في روايته من قال حين يسمع المؤذن وأنا أشهد ولم يذكر قتيبة قوله وأنا. So we see here in Sahih Muslim, it's a world of a difference from that which is in wal-Marjan and that which is necessarily in Sahih Bukhari. We have several hadiths in this chapter. The chapter heading once more comes from An-Nawawi, rahimahullah. It says, Istihbab al-qawl, the recommendation to say these things. Repeat after the mu'adhin. This does not mean that this was the madhab of Imam Muslim. Imam Muslim, he could have had the opinion that it was mandatory based off of the hadith, فَقُولُوا مِثْلَ مَا يَقُولُ. The Prophet ﷺ says, repeat after the mu'adhin. Say what the mu'adhin is saying. Everybody clear on this? So it's a mistake to come along and say, it's only recommended according to Imam Muslim. That is not the view of Imam Muslim. Imam Muslim's book was not a book of fiqh. It was not a jami'. It's not a musannaf. It's not a book of fiqh. It's a musnad. It's a book of ahadith. And Imam al-Bukhari's book is a jami'. It's a collective, exhaustive compilation of everything. The athar, the ahadith, tafsir, kullu shay. Everybody understand this? Khairan inshallah. So the first hadith that he mentions is the hadith of Abu Sa'id with the isnad. Okay, hadith 846. Then that's the hadith that's in wal-Marjan. That's agreed upon by Bukhari and Muslim. Then he mentions the next narration, which is reported by Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiyallahu anhuma, in which he says, listen carefully, إِذَا سَمِعْتُمُ الْمُؤَذِّنَ فَقُولُوا مِثْلَ مَا يَقُولُ. It says, when you hear the mu'adhin, then say what he is saying. The hadith of Abu Sa'id says, إِذَا سَمِعْتُمُ النِّدَاء. When you hear the nida, the call, then repeat after him. Clear. Moving forward. ثُمَّ صَلُّوا عَلَيَّ. It then says, then ask Allah for salah upon me. This wording here in Sahih Muslim is the match to the what? To the chapter heading in the book wal-Marjan. But because the hadith of Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As is not where? In Sahih Bukhari. It's not in Sahih Bukhari. It's not in Sahih Bukhari. That's why it's missing. Once more. Wal-Marjan is a compilation of what? Both Bukhari and Muslim. Everybody understand this? So if he puts a chapter heading in this book, it has to suit the narrations that are agreed upon by Bukhari and Muslim. If he only takes chapter headings from Sahih Muslim, then it's going to be inconsistency. Because there's going to be a wording of a hadith in Sahih Muslim that is not in what? Sahih Bukhari. Everybody clear on this? It's a whole different narration, but not just a wording. It's a different companion. Everybody understand this? So in Sahih Muslim, there's no discrepancy. It's clear. He mentions several hadiths under one chapter. And one hadith says, إِذَا سَمِعْتُمُ النِّدَاء. When you hear the what? The call, the nida. Clear. Then it says here, when he says, ثُمَّ صَلُّوا عَلَيَّ. The hadith of Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As. It says, then ask Allah for what? The salah. Say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That is not in Sahih Bukhari. That's why it's missing in wal-Marjan. Tayyib. Hadith number 3, before we move on to the third hadith, it then says, فَإِنَّهُ مَنْ صَلَّى عَلَيْهِ. It then says, he who makes prayers upon me. Moving forward, the part of hadith that says, ثُمَّ صَلَّى اللَّهَ عَلَيْهِ الْوَسِيلَةِ. It says, then ask Allah to give me the what? Wasila. That's the second part that's missing from wal-Marjan. Because that narration is not found where? In the Sahih. Everybody clear on this? Tight. This part of hadith says, ask Allah for the wasila. Ask Allah to give me the wasila. Then it says, listen carefully. فَإِنَّهَا مَنْزِلَةٌ فِي الْجَنَّةِ. Because the wasila, listen carefully, it does not say in this hadith that the wasila is intercession. It doesn't say that. The hadith it says, فَإِنَّهَا مَنْزِلَةٌ فِي الْجَنَّةِ. That the wasila is a station in paradise. Is a what? Is a station in paradise. The hadith then says, لَا تَنْبَغِي إِلَّا لِعَبْدٍ مِنْ عِبَادِ اللَّهِ. And this station is unnecessary except for a servant of Allah. And he says, and I hope, أَرْجُو أَنْ أَكُونَ أَنَا هُوَ. And I hope that it's me. The humility of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet was humble. He says, I hope that this station in paradise is what? Is for me. I hope that I'm that servant. Not that Rasul, not that Mursal, not that Nabi, not that Mustafa. Everybody understand this? But that what? That Abd. That what? That slave, the servant of Allah. The greatest description of the Prophet ﷺ is that he's the servant. Everybody understand it? Subhanallah asra bi abdihi. Tabarakalladhi nazal al-furqan ala abdihi. When Allah speaks on these things, he always calls Muhammad his what? His servant. That's because servitude is not a dispraise. It's a good thing. Everybody understand this? Even among the people, noble people, having anything to do with religion or deen. A rich man, a wealthy man, an honorable man, he takes pride in doing what? Serving his guests. Everybody understand this? A general of a state, a colonel, a soldier, they say, you did what? You served your country. They say what? You served your country. I'm serving my country. Service is honor. Everybody clear on this? Everybody understand this? To noble people. Someone who's ignoble, then he looks at it as disrespect. But a true person of honor, he knows the value of what? Of serving others. I'm at your what? Service. I'm at your service. Everybody clear on this? Khairan, inshallah. Then the third hadith in Sahih Muslim is the narration of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu. That is also pertaining to repeating after the mu'adhin in detail. Then the next narration, the author mentions from Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, with regards to saying things when the mu'adhin makes the adhan. Naam, to the end of the chapter. Khairan, inshallah. The details of Sahih Muslim and how to read it and so on and so forth, these things cannot be discussed in this class right now. That's a separate field of study, a separate genre of hadith when we talk about the 6 mother books of hadith and the manhajiyah, the proper way of reading them and the proper way of studying them. And we mention these things not for everybody. Everybody's not reading these books. Everybody's not going to read these books. Everyone doesn't desire to read these books. Everyone doesn't have to read these books, but some people do. There is a method to reading the kutub al-sitta. There is a do and there is a don't. How to read kutub al-sitta. What books should you start off with? How to benefit from these books. Khairan, inshallah. So the main issue from this hadith is the ruling on repeating after the mu'adhin. Is this something which is mandatory, or is it something which is what? Recommended. Everybody understand this? Tayyib. Bismillah. Tayyib. So what is the ruling on making or repeating after the mu'adhin? Is it mandatory, or is it just recommended? Based off of what you were taught. Only recommended. Why is only recommended? You were taught that the Prophet ﷺ says, فَقُولُوا, say. هذا فعل أمر. The Prophet told you to say it. So so if the Prophet, when Allah told Adam to make sujood, what was the ruling on him making sujood? Mandatory. Of course. How do you know it was mandatory, Osama? How do you know that it was mandatory? What? Command? Okay, but all commands aren't necessarily mandatory. I may order you to do something, you don't have to do it. How do you know that it was mandatory? Because when you didn't do it, it was a... It was a punishment for him not doing it. He was what? Reprimanded. He was censured, Lutfi. He was kicked out because he didn't implement the what? The command. What did Musa alayhi salam tell Harun with regards to when he left him in charge and he came back and he found what he found? What did he say? He said, you did what? Afa asayta amri. He says, did you disobey my what? My command. He was angry. Everybody understand this? Harun says, don't become angry. Don't do this. Don't grab my hair. Don't grab my beard. So the asal, the command of the Prophet ﷺ is what? The rule of thumb is that the act becomes what? Mandatory. The rule of thumb, the asal, is that the act is mandatory until what? Proven otherwise. Through another hadith, through another text, ijma', that is only recommended to do it. You don't have to do it, but it's what? Preferable. We've explained this only Allah knows how many times in the feast, How many times we went over this qaida in usul al-fiqh? 1,000 times, literally. When the Prophet tells you to do something, then the act is what? Wajib. Until what? Proven otherwise. Everybody understand this? It could be command when it's only mustahab. Or the opposite, the nahi. When the Prophet says, don't drink with your left. Don't drink standing up. Don't do this. Don't do that. The rule of thumb is that the act is what? Muharram. You cannot do it unless it's proven only to be makruh. Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on this or not? So the rule of thumb is that it's obligatory until proven what? With regards to the command of the Prophet ﷺ. Everybody clear on this or not? So the Prophet ﷺ says, فَقُولُوا مِثْلَ مَا يَقُولُ. Say, or مِثْلَ مَا يَقُولُ الْمُؤَذِّنِ. Say what the mu'adhin is saying. Then that proves that it's what now? To repeat after the mu'adhin. Unless we have another hadith, unless there's consensus, ijma'. All of the ulama agree that it's only for istihbab. It's only what? Recommended. And you don't what? Have to. Everybody clear on this or not? Everybody understand this or not? Everybody clear on this or not? You clear on this? Everybody, that makes sense? Khairan inshallah. So what is the ruling on repeating after the mu'adhin then?
It's mandatory.
Mandatory. Based off of what you learned? Right. What is the actual ruling? What do the ulama, what do people of knowledge say about this hadith? An-Nawawi, first and foremost, what did he say? He said it's recommended. That's also from what we learned. Tayyib. An-Nawawi says that it's only what? Recommended. So why is Nawawi saying this? That it's only recommended and not obligatory.
He has another hadith.
Which is? So let's make a hypothetical example now. Hypothetical example, excuse me. If this is all you had, you read what Nawawi said, and you know who Nawawi is, this great scholar, and then you read the hadith. What would be your responsibility as a layman 9 to 5 Muslim to follow what? The hadith. You say. You say Nawawi. You gotta say something.
Nawawi.
You say Nawawi. Tayyib. Follow Nawawi.
Depends if you're following Nawawi.
Tayyib. Why the hadith saw there?
Because that's what the Prophet said.
Okay. So you're taking the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ based off of this rule, this qaida that you learned. Tayyib. Why follow Nawawi?
If Imam Nawawi's bringing the chapter heading, then
You just heard what Nawawi said. Why would you, as a layman Muslim, why say follow Nawawi?
He has a lot more knowledge.
Because he has more knowledge than you. Tayyib. Okay. Anything else?
you will have
A broader scope than just one hadith. Tayyib. You agree with that, Salih? You disagree. Tayyib. So what would you do if someone says, are you smarter than Nawawi? Do you know more than Nawawi? What would you say?
So we say if Nawawi brought the hadith, then there has to be a reason for bringing that hadith.
You already lost the battle if you answer the question like that. You what? You lost the battle. How did you lose the battle?
I don't know.
How did you lose the battle, Nafis?
You said so.
La.
because he gave us our premise.
No, you lose the battle when getting to any battle like this by even accepting that principle. I'm not claiming to be smarter than Nawawi. I don't know more than Nawawi. I'm nothing to Nawawi. But I'm not fighting with Nawawi. I'm sticking with what I heard from the what? Hadith. So you don't even have to bring that against me. Everybody understand this? This is the first thing they're going to try to bring against you. Pay attention now. Talk about wisdom. Talk about niqash, debate. It's a system. The first thing that person is going to say, are you smarter than Abu Hanifa? Are you more knowledgeable than Abu Hanifa? The immature person, he's going to get tangled up. And then it's going to turn into, he's disrespecting Abu Hanifa. He's disrespecting, you think you're greater than ulama. I'm not claiming that. I'm not what? I'm not claiming that. I'm claiming to be simple, basic-minded. And the simplicity of my mind tells me to stick with safety. And that's what I take from the hadith. And when I stand in front of Allah Yawm al-Qiyamah, He's not going to ask me about what? Nawawi or Abu Hanifa. Everybody understand this? You cannot allow a person of batil to yafrid alik, to put a muqaddimah upon you. Once you accept the muqaddimah, then you already what? You're already done. This applies to any other argument with regards to Allah's names and attributes. This attribute proves, it shows that Allah, no, I don't even agree with that from the asl. That is, yalzam. For Allah to be above the arsh, it means He was beneath the arsh. I don't even agree with that aslan. For you to even what? Bring that upon me. Everybody clear on this? You're talking about leverage. You give someone leverage and then they what? It's like a arm wrestling match. A little bit of leverage and it can lead to what? All it takes. Everybody understand this or not? Right? So you don't have to be claiming to be smarter than any alim or anybody. But I learned in the basic usul al-fiqh this. The hadith says, فَقُولُوا مِثْلَ مَا يَقُولُ. So I'm going to what? Stick with that. You can follow Nawawi. You have your general understanding, the people of knowledge. That's fine. I'm not going that route. Everybody understand this? And you totally avoid the what? The clash. Everybody clear on this or not? Everybody understand this? Khayr inshallah. Once you do that, is nothing that he can say. Because he was expecting you to disrespect Nawawi. He was expecting you to say something about Abu Hanif. He was expecting you to say something about Abu Hasan Ash'ari. He has a list of things that he's memorized about Nawawi's life. He said this, he said that, he's the greatest, kada, kada, kada. He's memorized that in his head. So he's expecting you to what? Make that response. But when you totally move out of the way, then he has what? There's nothing else he can say. Everybody understand this? Khayran inshallah. Tahir. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says regarding this issue, he says here, وهل القول مثل قول المؤذن واجب على من سمعه في غير الصلاة أم مندوب. He mentions many different ins and outs, some of them being repeating after the mu'adhin inside of the salah. Do you have to repeat after the mu'adhin if you're making nafila prayer? You're in the masjid making 2 rak'ah and the mu'adhin is making the adhan. Do you have to repeat after him? That's another issue. Or is it permissible to repeat after the mu'adhin if you don't have wudu? Or a menstruating woman? And different issues like this. Everybody understand this? Who knows the hadith that is used by the ulama who say that it's only recommended to make the adhan? Repeat after the mu'adhin and not mandatory. Anyone know? We explained the hadith before.
Is it the hadith where the Prophet was speaking in the back of the masjid? While the adhan was...
Is it
تفضل.
the man who came as a prophet said that for the man who
لا. It's not it. طيب. Anybody else? Anybody else before we move forward? You know the hadith, you're going to hit yourselves in the head when I mention it to you. Anybody online? Nobody. Going once. Going twice. Going 3 times sold. The hadith comes before this in Sahih Muslim. النووي says الإمساك عن الإغارة على قوم في دار الكفر إذا سمع فيهم الأذان. وحدثني زهير بن حرب قال حدثنا يحيى يعني بن سعيد عن حماد بن سلمة قال حدثنا ثابت عن أنس بن مالك قال كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يغير إذا طلع الفجر وكان يستمع الأذان فإن سمع أذانا أمسك وإلا أغار فسمع رجلا يقول الله أكبر الله أكبر فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم على الفطرة ثم قال أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم خرجت من النار فنظروا فإذا هو راعي معزى. The chapter right before this chapter in Sahih Muslim, An-Nawawi, he says Al-Imsaku an al-Ighara. It says that when there are people who live among the kuffar, you should not fight them if you hear them making the adhan. If you hear them making the adhan. Imam Muslim, he mentions his chain of narration, his isnad, that goes back to Anas ibn Malik. That says the Messenger of Allah used to fight, he used to attack, he used to raid إِذَا طَلَعَ الْفَجْرِ after Fajr time. After what? After Fajr time. وَكَانَ يَسْتَمِعُ الْأَذَانِ and he would what? Listen for the what? He would listen what? For the adhan. It then says, فَإِن سَمِعَ أَذَانًا أَمْسَكَ. So if he heard someone make the adhan, he would do what? He would stop. He wouldn't fight those people. Everybody understand this? وَإِلَّا أَغَارَ. And if he didn't hear the adhan, he would do what? He would continue charging. The hadith then says, so he heard a man saying, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. The Messenger of Allah he said what? Ala al-fitra. He says the man is upon the what? The fitra. Not necessarily a Muslim, but he's upon a what? Fitra. Allah is the greatest. Whether he was a mushrik or not. Everybody understand this or not? A Catholic says, praise to God. Everybody understand this? God be praised. God forgive me. That part of the fitrah is still what? There. That part of the fitrah is still what? To realize that God is the greatest. Everybody understand this? Does God have a son? Is he one of three? That's a different story. But the original concept is that there's what? Everybody understand this? That's still part of the what? Fitrah. And it doesn't necessarily make a person a what? A Muslim. They don't have to be a Muslim to realize that God is what? The greatest. Everybody understand this or not? The Prophet, he heard the man saying, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. He said what? Ala al-fitrah. He said what? Ala al-fitrah. You're on a train. Naam Salih? You sneeze. And the lady next to you, she says what? God bless you. Everybody understand this? She's not an atheist. Tayyib. She realizes that there's a what? God. That's still part of her what? Fitrah that remains. Even though she's still a what? A Christian or Catholic or whatever the hell. Everybody clear this or not? The Prophet ﷺ, the hadith then says, the man then said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. He says, I bear witness that none has to be right to be worshipped but Allah. The Prophet ﷺ says, Kharajta minan nar. He says, you're free from the what? From the fire. He didn't fight them, meaning that the man was clearly a Muslim. What's the highlighting point from the hadith? Away from the fire, from jihad, from this, from fitrah. The shahid from the hadith is what? Is that the Prophet ﷺ what?
He didn't repeat.
Ahsan. He spoke when the mu'adhin was making the adhan. And he did not repeat after the mu'adhin. So some of the ulama of Islam, they say this proves that it's only what? Recommended. Hadha sarif. This is the what? This is the sarif.